When was the last time you felt completely sure about your future? You know that feeling. It hits you late at night. You are lying in bed. The house is quiet. Suddenly, a wave of energy moves through your chest. You sit up. You grab a notebook. You start writing plans. You promise yourself that tomorrow is different. Tomorrow you will wake up early. You will finally start that project. You will change your habits. For a few hours, you feel unstoppable. The path looks clear. The goal feels close. But then morning comes. The alarm rings. The quiet room is now just a room. The heavy air is back. That sharp energy you felt at night is gone. You hit snooze. You tell yourself you will start later. You grab your phone. You scroll. The hours slip by. You feel a small sting of guilt. You push it down. You wait for the feeling to return. You think you just need the right mood. You think you need another spark to get moving again. So you wait and you wait. And while you wait, your goals sit untouched on the shelf. Here is the quiet truth you keep missing. That spark was never meant to carry you. You have been trained to believe motivation is the engine of success. You think it is the fuel, but it is only the weather. It passes through. It changes. It does not ask your permission. It does not care about your plans, yet you keep building your entire routine around it. You keep checking your emotional weather before you decide to act. You are handing your power to a temporary feeling, and every time you do that, you are quietly voting against your own future. Think about the last time you quit something. You did not quit because it was too hard. You quit because the feeling faded. You told yourself you needed more time. You told yourself the timing was wrong. But the timing was never the real problem. The real problem was that you tied your action to an emotion. Emotions shift. Emotions lie. They tell you to start when the path looks easy. They tell you to stop when friction shows up. Friction is not a sign to quit. Friction is just the first real test. And most people walk away before the test even begins. I need you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are just following a broken map. You were taught to chase the rush. You were taught to wait for inspiration. But inspiration is a guest. It visits. It leaves. It never builds a life for you. If you keep waiting for the rush to return, you will spend years in the same exact spot. You will keep watching others move forward. You will keep wondering why they seem to have something you do not. It is not luck. It is not talent. It is a simple shift in how they decide to move. Stay with me until the very end. I am going to show you how to break this quiet trap. I will show you what happens when you stop negotiating with your mood. I will give you the exact mental switch that turns empty days into steady progress. You will learn why your past attempts failed even when you gave it your all. You will see the hidden pattern that keeps good people stuck, and you will finally understand how to move when nothing feels exciting. If you are tired of the cycle, keep listening. The answer is simpler than you think, and it will change everything. Your brain is not your enemy, but it is not designed for the life you want. It was built for survival, for quick rewards, for safety, not for building a future. When you feel that urge to scroll, to snack, to delay, that is not weakness. That is ancient wiring. Your mind seeks comfort. It avoids friction. It wants the easy path. This is why motivation fades. It is chemistry, a spike, a flash, then it drops. Your brain returns to its default setting. Conservation, caution, comfort. Most people never learn this. They think the fade means they are not meant for success. They think the resistance is a sign to stop, but resistance is not a stop sign. It is a signal. It means you are moving against the current. It means growth is possible. The mistake is listening to the feeling instead of the plan. Successful people do not feel more motivated. They feel the same pull toward comfort. The difference is simple. They do not wait for the feeling to change. They act before the feeling arrives. They know their brain will argue. They know doubt will show up. They do not debate. They move. Here is what no one tells you. Your mind will always prefer the known over the unknown. Even if the known is making you unhappy, even if the unknown holds your potential. This is why change feels so hard. It is not the work, it is the wiring. Ask yourself this quiet question. Are you following your goals, or are you following your daily feelings? If your answer changes with your mood, you are letting an ancient system decide your modern life. That system kept your ancestors alive. It will not build the future you want. The warning is gentle but firm. If you wait to feel ready, you hand your future to a temporary mood. Moods pass, time does not. Every day you wait for the right feeling is a day you give away, and those days add up. They become months. They become years. But there is a way through. You do not fight your brain. You work with it. You design small wins. You create proof. You show your mind that action is safe, that progress is possible, that you can trust yourself. This is how you rewire the pattern, not with force, with consistency. The shift begins when you stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "What does my future self need me to do right now?" That question changes everything. Tomorrow is a comfortable lie. It feels kind, it feels safe, but it is stealing from you. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," you are not buying time. You are spending it. You are trading your future for a moment of relief. That relief is expensive. It costs you momentum. It costs you belief. It costs you proof that you can trust yourself. Your mind loves tomorrow because tomorrow requires nothing today. Tomorrow is a promise with no payment, but promises without action become whispers, and whispers fade. The pattern is quiet but deadly. You delay, you feel a small release. Then you feel a small weight. The weight grows. The release shrinks. Soon the weight is heavier than the dream. Successful people see this trap. They do not fall for the comfort of later. They know that later is where dreams go to dissolve. They act when it is inconvenient. They act when it is uncomfortable. They act when no one is watching. Not because they feel like it, because they respect their word. Here is what you overlook. Every postponed day is a vote against the life you say you want. You do not notice one vote, but votes compound. They become a pattern. The pattern becomes your identity. I am someone who starts later. That identity will hold you long after the moment passes. Ask yourself this. What are you pushing to tomorrow that will cost you next year? That skill you keep delaying. That conversation you avoid. That first step you will not take. Time will move forward with or without you. The question is not if you will pay. The question is what you will pay for. The warning is simple. Delay feels like mercy. It is actually theft. It steals your confidence. It steals your progress. It steals your belief that you are capable. And the longer you wait, the louder the doubt becomes. But there is a way out. It starts with one decision. Not tomorrow. Today. Not when you feel ready. Now. Small. Simple, certain, action, even tiny, breaks the spell. It tells your brain you are serious. It builds a new pattern. One day becomes two, two becomes 10, 10 becomes proof. You do not need a perfect start. You need a real one. You fear discipline because you were taught to see it as punishment. You think it means suffering, restriction, a cage. But that is a lie. Discipline is not a cage. It is a key. It unlocks the life you keep imagining but never building. The moment you understand this, everything shifts. Right now, you negotiate with yourself every single day. Should I do it? Do I feel like it? Maybe later. That inner debate drains your energy. It exhausts you before you even begin. Successful people do not have more willpower. They have less negotiation. They decided once, then they act. The decision is made. The debate is over. That is freedom. Think about it. When you do not have structure, your mood becomes your boss. Some days you work, some days you rest, some days you quit. You are not living by design. You are reacting, and reaction never builds anything lasting. Discipline ends that cycle. It is not about forcing yourself. It is about freeing yourself from the constant pull of doubt. Here is what you overlook. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you teach your brain that your word does not matter. You weaken your own trust. But every time you keep a small promise, you build quiet strength. You prove to yourself that you can be relied upon. That is the foundation of real confidence. Not motivation, not praise, proof. The warning is gentle but clear. Without structure, motivation becomes a leash. It pulls you in circles. With structure, motivation becomes a tool. It serves you. It does not control you. Ask yourself this. What would change if you stopped asking yourself for permission to act? If you simply did what you said you would do, regardless of the noise in your mind? That is not rigidity. That is respect. Respect for your future, respect for your word, respect for the life you are trying to create. Discipline is not about being hard on yourself. It is about being kind to your future self. It is choosing long-term peace over short-term comfort. It is building a life where you do not have to chase motivation because you are already moving. The key is in your hand. You have always had it. You just mistook it for a weight. Let go of the old story. Turn the key. Walk through. Consistency does not break on the hard days, it breaks on the easy ones. You do not fail when the work is heavy. You fail when the work feels light. You tell yourself, just today off. I earned a break. I'll make it up tomorrow. That small exception feels harmless, but it is not. It is a pattern in disguise. Your brain is watching. Every time you let a small compromise slide, you send a message. You teach your mind that your word is optional, that promises can bend, that later is acceptable, and once that door opens, it never fully closes. The next exception comes easier, then the next. Soon the exception becomes the rule, and your dream becomes a memory of what you once intended. Successful people see this trap. They protect their consistency like it is sacred, not because they are perfect, because they understand the math. One skip day is not just one day, it is a signal. It weakens the identity they are building. They know that identity is built in moments, not milestones. Every small choice is a brick. Here is what you overlook. The days you feel fine are the dangerous ones, not the days you feel terrible. On hard days, you expect resistance. On easy days, you let your guard down. That is when the quiet compromise slips in. I'll just skip this one, but that one is the seed of the pattern that holds you back. Ask yourself this: where have you let a small exception become a lifelong excuse? That one day you missed the workout, that one time you did not make the call, that one moment you chose comfort over commitment. It was not just one moment, it was a vote for who you are becoming. The warning is quiet but firm. Your future is not shaped by your big decisions. It is shaped by your small, repeated choices, the ones no one sees, the ones you barely notice. Those are the ones that build your life. But there is power here. If small compromises can break you, small commitments can rebuild you. One kept promise, one followed through action. One day you do what you said you would do, even when it feels unnecessary. That is how you rewrite the pattern. Not with grand gestures, with quiet, certain choices. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be aware. Catch the small exception before it becomes the rule. Protect your word, protect your pattern. That is how consistency becomes your nature, not your struggle, your nature. Willpower is a battery. It drains. You cannot rely on it. You wake up with a full charge. By evening, it is empty. This is why you start strong and fade fast. This is why your good intentions collapse when you are tired. You are trying to power your future with a resource that runs out. Successful people do not have more willpower. They have fewer decisions. They design their day so the right action is the easy action. They remove the choice. They make the path clear. When you have to decide every time, you will sometimes choose comfort. That is human. So they stop deciding. They create a rule, and they follow the rule, not the mood. Here's the hidden mistake. You think you need more motivation to act. You do not. You need fewer options. Every extra choice is a chance to quit. Every extra step is a chance to delay. Simplify. Make the action so small, so clear, so automatic that your brain cannot argue. After I brush my teeth, I write one sentence. After I pour my coffee, I open my book. No debate, no negotiation, just action. Your mind loves clarity. It resists ambiguity. When the path is foggy, you hesitate. When the path is clear, you move. This is not about discipline as force. This is about discipline as design. You are not fighting yourself. You are guiding yourself. Ask yourself this: what one tiny rule could you follow every single day, no matter your mood? Not a big goal, a tiny rule. So small it feels almost too easy. That is the point. Small wins build trust. Trust builds momentum. Momentum builds identity. The warning is simple. If you keep relying on feeling ready, you will keep waiting. Time will pass. Your dreams will stay dreams. But if you build a system that works when you are tired, when you are bored, when you are stressed, you become unstoppable. Not because you are special, because your system is reliable. You do not need to overhaul your life today. You need one anchor, one non-negotiable action, one promise so small you cannot break it. Keep that promise, then keep it again tomorrow. That is how action becomes automatic. That is how you stop chasing motivation and start building a life that moves with or without it. The power is not in the push. It is in the pattern. Design the pattern. Let the pattern carry you. There will be days when you feel nothing, no spark, no drive, no reward waiting at the end. This is the real test, not the excited start, not the applause, the quiet middle, the empty space where no one is watching and nothing feels exciting. This is where most people turn back. Not because they cannot do the work, because they cannot handle the silence. You have been taught to expect a feeling, a rush, a sign. But real growth does not come with fireworks. It comes in the stillness, in the choice to act when there is no external reward, when the only person you are proving something to is yourself. Here is what you overlook. The days you feel nothing are not wasted days. They are building days. They are forging the part of you that does not need permission, the part that does not need praise, the part that simply does what it said it would do. That part is your foundation. Without it, everything you build will shake. Successful people know this. They do not wait for the feeling to return. They move through the emptiness. They understand that action is not just a path to a result. Action is the result. Every time you act without a feeling, you strengthen your identity. You prove to yourself that you are reliable, that your word matters, that you can trust you. Ask yourself this. Can you keep a promise to yourself when no one is watching and nothing feels exciting? That is the question that separates dreams from reality. Not talent, not luck. The quiet ability to show up for yourself when there is no applause. The warning is gentle but firm. If you only work when it feels good, you will never build anything that outlasts you. You will always be a passenger to your mood. You will always be waiting, and waiting is a quiet form of giving up. But there is power here, the power to choose, to act, to move forward even when the path is dark. This is not about pushing harder. It is about trusting deeper, trusting that the action itself is enough, that the promise is enough, that you are enough even on the empty days. When you learn to move without a feeling, you become free. Free from the chase, free from the doubt, free to build a life that does not depend on the weather inside your mind. That is the shift. That is the key. Keep going, even when you feel nothing, especially then. Time does not care about your intentions. It only cares about your repetitions. One day of action means almost nothing. 300 days of the same small action mean everything. This is the math no one tells you. Not because it is secret, because it is too simple to believe. You look at successful people and see the result. You do not see the quiet repetitions behind it. You do not see the days they showed up when nothing changed. You do not see the weeks they kept going when no one noticed. You only see the outcome, and you think they had something you do not. They did not. They just understood the multiplier. Here is what you overlook. Time is always working. The question is, what is it working on? If you repeat doubt, time builds a life of regret. If you repeat action, time builds a life of results. You cannot stop time, but you can choose what it amplifies. Your mind wants quick proof. It wants to see change today. But real change is invisible at first, like a seed under soil. Nothing seems to happen, but underneath roots are growing. Strength is building. The work is happening. You just cannot see it yet. This is where most people quit, right before the visible shift. Ask yourself this. What would your life look like if you repeated the same small action for 2 straight years? Not a huge effort, just one small, consistent choice. Day after day. That is the question that changes everything. Not motivation, not talent. Repetition over time. The warning is quiet but clear. You cannot cheat time. If you skip, if you delay, if you wait for perfect, time still moves. And it multiplies your inaction just as easily as your action. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not about effort, it is about direction, and time is always carrying you forward in the direction you choose. But there is hope here, simple, certain hope. You do not need to be extraordinary today, you just need to be consistent. Let time become your ally. Let your small choices compound. 1 day becomes 10, 10 becomes 100, 100 becomes a life transformed. You are not building a moment. You are building a legacy, and legacies are not made in flashes. They are made in repetitions. Trust the math. Trust the process. Trust that what you repeat, time will multiply. This is where it ends, and where it begins. You have heard the truth. You have seen the pattern. You know the trap. Now, only one thing remains. The choice. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready, now, in this quiet moment, with no one watching, with no applause waiting, just you and your decision. Motivation will visit you again. It always does. It will bring excitement, energy, big plans. Let it come, but do not let it stay as your guide. Let it be a guest, not the host. Discipline is the home. Discipline is what remains when the guest leaves. Discipline is what builds the life you keep imagining. Here is the final truth you must carry. The gap between your current life and your potential is not talent, it is not luck, it is not timing, it is daily proof. The small, repeated evidence that you can trust yourself, that you do what you say, that you show up even when it is hard, even when it is quiet, even when nothing feels different. You have spent years waiting for a sign. This is it. Not a feeling, not a spark, a decision, a quiet, firm choice to stop negotiating with your mood, to stop handing your power to a temporary emotion, to start building brick by brick the life you deserve. Ask yourself this one last question. Will you keep chasing sparks, or will you finally build the fire? Sparks fade, fire lasts, fire warms, fire lights the path, fire transforms. But fire requires fuel. It requires attention. It requires you to tend it day after day, even when the wind blows. The warning is gentle but final. If you walk away from this moment and return to waiting, nothing will change. Time will still pass. Dreams will still fade. The gap will still grow. But if you choose, right now, to act on one small thing you have been delaying, you break the cycle. You prove to yourself that you are different, that you are ready, that you are done waiting. You do not need permission. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need to feel ready. You just need to begin. One step, one promise, one quiet act of discipline. That is how fires start, not with a roar, with a spark you choose to protect. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. Make it count.